Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning into this brief but very important session for our entire department. I'm Nancy Cellini, Public Health Planner and your accreditation lead. I want to welcome and give a big thanks to Fred and Andrea for being here, and I'm going to turn this over to both of you. What do you have for our group today? And thank you.
All right. I'm Andrea, or you kind of guessed that. I'm not Fred. Fred Erickson here, as soon as we show him, he is the developer of the VMSG dashboard. And with our combination of him and I, we've been in public health for over 25 years, and we have never left public health. We're hoping that you will see after this brief overview, and again, just to preface, it's not training, it's just an overview of the system itself, that you'll see that we're hoping that we provide an easy journey through this whole accreditation process for you guys. When we find our departments, or they find us, and they're heading down that road for accreditation, we often find them in a bit of a chaos or panic state. They're already tracking their grants. They already have the WIC and emergency preparedness. And now they're going to be going through FAB. So we call this our chaos screen. Well, we're hoping that after this presentation is over, you can see where you're going to be a little bit more chill, and you know that everything is in one place, and we're helping you every step of the way. Like I said, we were kind of born and raised in a jurisdiction here in Phoenix, Arizona, pretty large jurisdiction, and that where the health director wanted to be able to look over all of his offices, divisions, and programs, and look at the organizational success and be able to make a quality improvement, or they wanted performance management to be able to build that quality improvement piece inside the dashboard. And that is the Deming cycle: the plan, do, check, and adjust. Well, in 2011, when FAB came around, this department had a fully demonstrated performance management system, and they were one of the first ones to become accredited. And the most specific part of the dashboard that they were able to meet was that measure 9.1.1a or 9.1.6. And that is being able to reach every level of their organization in the success of all their services and initiatives, including external partners. We define performance management in the VMSG dashboard in 3 simple steps. And the first step is creating a good operational plan. And that's just a specific group of people doing a specific activity in a specific time frame with a specific measure. After they create that good operational plan, they're going to want to monitor the plan. So the next step would be to monitor the plan, and not just monitoring it on the macro level, which would be your organization level or your group level, but we want to be able to monitor every element in your plan. So that would be the micro level. So that would be somewhere where there's not enough widgets to install. Someone's out on maternity leave. That type of deep micro level monitoring. Then we have the ability to have the public monitor how successful you're being on your FAB engagement or your strategic plan. Then we've built in that quality improvement piece into performance management through the Deming cycle. So that's the last step in performance management. So you're creating a plan, you're executing the plan, you're doing your check to the plan, making your adjustments in the plan, and then you go back into the plan. With your strategic plan, everyone that we have come across with our 240 health departments, they all had a strategic plan, or they were in the process of building a new one. And then that plan was kind of sitting on the shelf. It wasn't really active. Well, through these previous steps that I just explained, we'll be able to create that, have that strategic plan come alive for you guys. Then, Fred, you want to go ahead and go through the next slide?
Yeah. So what we've seen a lot, and by the way, this is not just in public health, you're going to go through, and if you haven't already, you're going to update or develop your strategic plan, and it's a long process. A lot of senior managers get together, decide exactly what we're going to be doing for about the next 5 years, typically. And the plan all comes together, and everybody looks at the plan. It's like, boy, this is the greatest strategic plan ever made. And then it goes up on the shelf and it collects dust because there's no tool in place to keep that plan up to date. And that's what Andrew was talking about earlier, the PDCA cycle. Let's talk about how that works. So you're going to develop your plan. You got your plan in place. Obviously, you want to next execute the plan. So there's the do phase, executing the plan. Now, you see this little clock over here called real-time planning. This is one of the great tools in the system that allows you to automatically update everything in the plan. And the way that works is you're going to assign teams of people to the plan elements, and there's typically at the objective and activity level. And those teams of people are going to get an email notification from the system on a regular basis to go back directly into the designated activities and objectives and do the updates. And this is a cyclical process happening all the time. So ideally, you're keeping the data real time in the plan. And one of the reasons for doing that is because you want to get into the check phase. The check phase is merely comparing the plan to the actual. Well, up here in the do phase with the real-time planning is where you're actually collecting that actual information, the current status. Now, if you decide not to do the real-time planning and you're going to go in and do the check phase, every time you do the check phase, you got to go back and check the status of the plan against the metrics that you have established here, and then you go do the check phase. It really makes a lot of sense to let the system do that. And by the way, if you're doing that, then you're engaging pretty much the whole staff by doing this, and you're meeting that measure 9.1.6 kind of automatically. After the check phase, you're going to compare the plan to the actual, and then you're going to go into the adjust phase. The adjust phase is if I need to make a correction to either the plan or the resources to get to the plan, I'm going to do it here, and then I'm going to continue back through the cycle. So what this does is keep your plans up to date on a real-time basis. Now, in the FAB world, you've got the big six plans, or the FAB six-pack of plans, some people call them. And that's these plans up here in the bubbles again that Nancy was talking about. Each of these plans has a designated life cycle. So the first three you see on the left, the CHIP, the CHA, and the strategic plan, have a 5-year life cycle. Well, if you're going in and updating the plan, let's say on a monthly basis, that life cycle moves forward every month. So in fact, you could have an infinite life cycle if you're in fact updating your strategic plan over time here. Now, an example of what might look like in a quality improvement thing in the system here, you might have a goal that says something like increase mental health awareness in Passaic County. And then underneath that, you're going to say, okay, what are the specific targets that we're trying to accomplish here? In fact, we're going to train people to recognize the signs of individuals who might be experiencing a mental health crisis. That's great. Underneath that, you might have some specific activities like apply more funding to serve more citizens within the community, something along that line. You're going to have a performance measure that basically says, how do I know when I've accomplished the objective or the activity? You're going to assign a time frame in here when we're going to accomplish that. And you're going to assign, here's those team leads we were talking about. You're going to assign those leads to get there. So this is just kind of an example of a plan that you might have in the system. This could be under your strategic plan. It could be a separate quality improvement plan, but there's a lot of different things like this that you can do in the system. Now, if I'm a senior manager and I want to be able to go in and say, you know, how is my division performing today? Let's take you back live into the system here and take a look at that. So let's say I'm in my little demo organization called USA Public Health. This is my groups tab, which is basically the organizational structure of your department. You notice I'm sitting on community health. So for purpose of today, I'm going to be the community health director. So when I logged in, it took me right to my area of responsibility, in this case, community health. I'm going to go up and click on this little traffic light button here in the top right. It's going to go back and it's going to gather up literally hundreds or thousands of data points around the current status of community health. And it's going to give me a dashboard that shows me the real-time performance of community health.
Eventually.
Eventually, it's going to show us that. There we go. Usually it takes 10 or 12 seconds to do that. It's gathering up a lot of data, as you'll see here. So this is the dashboard. Now, again, this button up here says homepage. What that says is if I am a senior manager and I just want to go to my performance dashboard screen, I'll log in. I can hit this homepage and it says when I log into the system, it takes me immediately to this page. So I don't have to go through any navigating or anything. What we're seeing up here is, in fact, the current status of community health. We use the traffic light metaphor. Green means things are moving along as expected. Yellow would be something that's slowing us down. Potentially somebody's retiring and we need to replace them. Red would mean something bad happened, brought us to a screeching halt. And then you'll see the gold bar down here. Gold bar indicates successful completion of that portion of the plan. Then we have the schedule gauge here. The schedule gauge is saying right now, across everything in community health, we're about 2 days ahead of schedule. If we get behind schedule, it'll be yellow. If we get 60 days behind schedule, it'll be red. I also have drill downs down here. So I can go down to the bottom and say, how are my people performing? This first column here is showing me when did that person last update their designated information in the system. The green would indicate less than 30 days ago, which is kind of your ideal point. Yellow would be 30 to 60 days, and red would be over 60 days. This is kind of what we call a mini audit. So remember the old adage that says, people listen to what you say, people do what you audit. If I'm the community health director and I'm showing this to my staff in our staff meeting, and I show them what the color codes mean in here, that, I really want things to be green, I will guarantee you my next staff meeting, every one of them will be green. People listen to what you say, people do what you audit. We have some other information over here that we can collect, how loaded is each person? How are they doing against their specific activities? Overall, are they ahead of schedule or behind schedule? Do they have anything that's overdue? And again, looking at the traffic light metaphor, how are they doing against all the activities that they've been assigned? They can also go up here and they can look at, how am I doing on things that I want to monitor? So in this case, we're looking at specific objectives that I personally want to monitor. I'm going to select those. They're going to show up on my login every time. Typically, they're things that are yellow or red lights because they're in trouble, and either things that I'm working on personally or I've assigned to my team, and I just want to keep them front and center up there. So that is the dashboard. And again, this is the snapshot of performance of your area of responsibility. Now, we also realize that not everybody in public health is sitting in an office behind a computer all the time. So what we did is built the same functionality into your phone. The cool thing about it is we call this a dynamic app. So you don't really need to download an app from the App Store or anyplace else. It builds the app dynamically in the web browser on your phone, just like it would on your desktop. The cool thing is the link is exactly the same. The login credentials are exactly the same. And it just breaks it down into 3 phone screens for you. So same functionality on your phone. Now, as you're moving into the accreditation process, we have built all of the FAB accreditation plans in there. There's probably over a dozen plans with the previous version 1.5, as well as the current version of 2022. You guys are moving forward with 2022. What these plans are is a full operational plan to carry you all the way through the accreditation process. You're going to be able to go in and assign the domains to the people who are responsible. You're going to be able to manage it. You're going to be able to manage all the documentation requirements for it. When you get down to the end here, the system is going to kind of take over to notify people that you need to be working on this document by this particular date to get it attached to the system. And again, we're going to go through all the training to teach people how to do that. Now, you might also already be working on a lot of the things that FAB is going to require in there. So we built into the system what we call 3-dimensional planning. And that is the ability to link everything that you're already doing to anything else you want to link it to. It could be your strategic plan. In this case, it could be the FAB plan in here. So we got things like, you've got the essentials of public health. So how are we doing across the whole department related to essential number 1? This is where it comes in really nice. You're going to end up having a site visit from FAB. They're going to come in here and they're going to say, okay, what are you doing related to FAB standard 6.1? I can look across the entire department and show everything that we're doing related to 6.1, including every required document for 6.1 on one screen. So the FAB site viewer people, they'll come in here and they'll take a look at this, and it makes their job really easy, which then helps you as you're going through the process. Other things you can do with 3-dimensional planning is your strategic partnerships or your strategic priorities from your strategic plan can be mapped, and all the documents. You can have as many documents in the system as you want, and you're going to have a bunch of documents. You're going to submit somewhere between 300 and 1,000 documents up into what they call the EFAB system, which is where they collect the documents for the accreditation. You can then tag all these documents in here so you know exactly which documents are going where. Document management is a critical function for accreditation, but also we've expanded it. So there's a lot of health departments that have come to us and said, hey, we've got a bunch of critical documents like policies, like standard operating procedures, like memos of understanding. And we have the problem that they have to be updated on a regular basis. Typically it's annually, like fiscal year. We have a team of people who does that, But what we don't have is that linkage that says, hey, Fred, you need to go update this document by this date. We built that functionality in there. So it automatically emails Fred when it's time to update that document. He goes in, he brings down the document from the system, he does the update, he uploads a new document, all the lights turn back to green, and you start a new annual cycle. So it really does help you to manage going forward, even after accreditation, all the critical documents you have. And one of the things Andrea mentioned on the performance monitoring was the ability to have what we call VMSG public. And that is the ability to create public facing web pages around any data in the system. It could be your strategic plan. It could be your FAB plan in there. It could be your community health, your tobacco program. Here's an example of what that page might look like for the tobacco program. So we have a program called tobacco cessation. Underneath that, we have a goal that says to reduce smoking in high schools. Underneath that, we have an objective that says to reduce smoking at Wayne High School. And what you're seeing over here on this little pie chart is the number of traffic lights in each status. So it says we have 3 gold, we have 1 green, 1 yellow, 1 red, and we're about 51 days behind schedule. I can break this all the way down to the bottom level where we can show the timeline activity for a specific objective or an activity. I can have as many of these, what we call indicator rows on a page as I want, and as many pages as I want. It takes you, once you've done this one time, it takes you no more than about 5 minutes to create one of these pages. And what you're doing is basically creating this public facing link up here that you can grab. You can put it in an email. Maybe you want to send it to the board of directors for their quarterly meeting so that they can understand the strategic plan without getting into the details of a report. Maybe you want to publish this on your public facing webpage so that your constituents can see it out there. So again, it's a real cool tool to be able to put your plan elements out there so the public can see them again in kind of a graphical status. Now, what we've just gone over is what we call the core functionality of the VMSG dashboard. As we move forward and we get into the training, there's a lot more capability and features that you'll see kind of around the edges in here that we'll be talking about. But here's kind of the cool thing about it. If you use these FAB 6-pack of plans in the system, you use one of the accreditation plans to manage the process. You engage real-time planning so that you involve everybody for 9.1.6. Again, Andrea mentioned we have about 240 health departments using the system. Every one of those health departments who's gone through accreditation or reaccreditation have done that, have gotten fully demonstrated, which is the highest level of compliance FAB can give you for standard 9.1. So basically everything you need to know is in there. So this is the system that we're talking about today. Now, getting you up and running is really simple. We've been doing this for many, many years. And to get started, it's real simple. We're going to create a personalized dashboard. We're going to ask you for a couple of pieces of information that'll give you the structure of your health department, some graphics and that sort of thing. Then we're going to start the training process. Everybody in the department gets the overview training, which gives you the basics on what the system's about. And it's going to talk to you about how to log in and how to do what we call quick update to update your activities and such. And then we're going to go through operational plan development. This is kind of a skill in itself. We're going to teach people how to develop operational plans. You don't have to use them in the system. It's obviously the tool that's made for doing that. But if you want to build an operational plan for anything offline, something in your personal life, you're going to have a really good understanding. At the end of operational planning, you're going to get a certificate that looks like this. It's going to tell you that you've been through the entire process of operational planning and you're pretty much an expert in operational planning. Then we go down into performance monitoring training, which is talking about all the performance monitoring, the tools around the dashboards and around the charts and the graphs and the reports and the VMSG public and that sort of thing. After you've been in the system for a while, got most of your plans in there, then we take you through 3-dimensional planning. How do I interlink everything in the system so that I don't have to duplicate efforts in there? And the other thing we do on an ongoing basis is as you have turnover or you need retraining on some things, we do training ongoing forever for all of your folks in there. So that was the plan to go through today. At this point in time, I'm going to kind of turn it back over to Nancy if there's any questions or anything else that you guys would like to see.
And Fred and Andrea, I'm holding up my real certificate that I got today. Thank you. And just to let you all know, for completion, you'll all be getting one of these as well. I want to thank you both. We won't have any live questions right now, but I'm sure that as this video gets out into the department, there's going to be a lot of curiosity and interest, and hopefully there's a lot of excitement. I know we're excited, And I want all of my colleagues here at Passaic County Department of Health Services to share in that excitement because, as I said, the future is happening right now. And we will be one of those high-performing departments of public health services in New Jersey who gets in line for the next best opportunities in public health. I want to thank you both for being such diligent partners in this and for all your help. And you'll be hearing from us, and I'm sure we'll be doing some future sessions together.
Right.
So
And
thanks.
Thank you so much,
also
Nancy.
for sure.
And if anybody has questions after they see the video, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to go into more detail with you.
Certainly will. Well, this concludes this preliminary information session to drive our engagement here. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be seeing you again real soon.
See you soon.
Thanks, everybody.